It's been too long. Among Us has become one of the most popular games in the entire world, and I'm sure at some point you've asked yourself, I know that I have, how? How has it become such a popular game? Well, first let's back up a bit. Among Us is an online multiplayer game that's exploded in popularity in the year 2020. But how did a game that was released in 2018 go from relative obscurity to being one of the most played games in the world, with over 300,000 active players as of the time of this recording? It's gathered the top gamers and celebrities in the world, from Jacksepticeye to PewDiePie to musicians like Logic and Corpse.
Why did you turn and chase me immediately?
It was the other way around. You were kind of scared.
Whoa.
No. I ran away from Felix.
Get him out of here.
Wait, what? That's kind of sus.
I think Toach just did that so he could make her a target.
But in order to understand this, we need to go back. Among Us was first released on June 15th, 2018. Created by American game studio Innersloth, which by the way is my favorite name for a studio ever, Sloths for Life. The game is a social deduction game that takes place on a spaceship, because what better place to determine if someone is going to murder you than in space, am I right? The game is unique because it's cooperative for both the good guys, aka the crewmates, and the bad guys, aka the imposters, the role of which you're assigned at the beginning of the game. The goal if you're selected as a crewmate is to complete all of your tasks without getting horribly murdered by the imposter, and ultimately identify who the imposter or imposters are through a voting process, which ultimately ejects the said imposters into the cold nothingness of space, where they float around into a deep freeze until they hit a comet or something. We don't really know. But if you're the imposter, which let's be honest is the funnest role and secretly what everyone hopes to be, your job is to isolate one player at a time and kill them without anyone seeing, thus avoiding getting outed and voted into the coldness of space. This allows you to continue your murder spree until the imposters outnumber the crew. So the question is, why would such a seemingly simple game take off suddenly after 2 years of basically anonymity? Well, I've boiled it down to 3 important reasons that came together to create the perfect storm for this game's creators. The game's rise is largely credited to an American Twitch streamer known as Chance Morris, aka Sodapoppin, who started streaming the game in July of 2020. This alongside a Canadian Twitch streamer known as XQC. Many other Twitch streamers and YouTubers seeing the game's popularity followed suit, including PewDiePie, Ninja, Shroud, and Pokimane, among many others. The game continued to gain major traction around the world, chiefly in South Korea and Brazil. The second, more obvious factor was the rise of the COVID-19 pandemic that forced everyone to basically be inside and have a lot of time to watch things. Global online content consumption doubled in the wake of the pandemic. With a lot more people being inside, viewership skyrocketed as new and old viewers began flooding in to watch players betray and be betrayed, pitting their wits against one another to determine who was the most sus. In September and October of 2020 alone, Among Us videos were viewed more than 17 billion times across TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. The game was downloaded more than 217 million times across PC, iOS, and the Google Play Store between August and November of 2020. But the third factor that I've come up with I think is the most interesting. It's a much less obvious, yet in my opinion the most important reason for the game's explosion in popularity that's really not discussed very much. The factor of human tribalism. Tribalism dates all the way back to the beginning of when humans first appeared on Earth, some 5 to 7 million years ago, so it's deeply ingrained in our DNA. The term refers to the natural human inclination to create groups based on similarities that we have. We hunted together, protected each other, and did almost everything in packs because, well, that's how we survived as a species. To this day we practice tribalism. In fact, look at your own life. Look at your closest friends. How many similarities would you say that you have with them? I'd be willing to bet a lot. So why does this matter? Well, we need to understand tribalism because it explains one of the greatest tribal fears, the fear of traitors.
Toph, do it! Toph, do it! Please, Toph, do it! Toph, vote!
I shot Sam Sora.
Y'all are so freaking...
Just vote! I'm
No.
losing my mind!
Of course, y'all don't
I'm
listen
done.
to
I'm
me
not
one time.
playing. I don't want to. I don't want.
Oh,
It's bad
son
for
of
my
a
heart.
bitch.
It's a natural human trait to worry that someone close to us, whether in our family or our friend circle, will betray us one day. Today, that could mean the end of a relationship, but millions of years ago, it meant death. Yeah, see where I'm going here? Even though it's a game meant for fun, Among Us plays on our deepest fears, the fear of betrayal. But there's also a flip side to this, what Germans call Schadenfreude. It's the idea that we experience a sense of satisfaction upon witnessing someone else's misfortune, failure, or humiliation. Have you ever seen someone slip and fall and you kind of giggle a little bit? That's Schadenfreude. It's a complex emotion, but essentially you get pleasure out of watching Blue pop out of the grate, shank Yellow with a knife, and get away with it. Oh, emergency meeting! I saw Orange kill Yellow. He came out of the grate. He's majorly sus. And to top it off, you never know if you're going to be the crewmate or the imposter, which adds an element of gambling and randomness to the game. The addiction to gambling and the effects on the brain and the dopamine that it releases is a topic for a whole nother video, but yeah. So what can we conclude here? Well, ultimately, it's the psychology behind this game that draws so many people to both watch and play it. And on a personal note, the fact that it took 2 years for this game to take off should be encouraging to all of you. Success takes time, so never give up, because all it takes is one good break. But thank you for watching, and I have a new schedule. New videos every Saturday, so be sure to check back next weekend because I'll be putting up new content every Saturday. And if you like Among Us or gaming videos in general, be sure to follow me on Twitch because I spend at least 3 to 5 hours on there every single day and we have a great community. So be sure to follow me, link is in the description, and I'll see you next Saturday.